me okay?
Yeah,
I hope I'm back. Okay, okay, perfect. All
yeah,
right.
you're back.
I hear you, Luis.
All right, good. All right, great, great, great. Mr. Robinson, I see you on mic. We're getting a little bit of feedback from you. If you wouldn't mind, just let me finish addressing Miss Aisha's point, and then we'll have you jump in. Is that all right? All right, cool. So we're going to mute you up just to keep the integrity of the room. So Miss Aisha, we were referencing lender credits, all right? Ask them if they provide lender credits at that specific bank that you're working with, because it depends, right? Do you have a set out amount of money to cover the down payment and closing costs?
I do.
Okay, perfect. So we want you to try to save as much money as possible out of pocket, and it really comes down to you leveraging the knowledge that you have. If you can, click that little link up top, and just keep that in your URL, because we explain several different facets of how you can save as much money out of pocket, even up to $80,000 to $85,000 out of pocket, by accessing those money trees and the lessons that we teach there. All right. Now, Miss Patrice, you are a rock star in the mortgage industry, right? If you could give Miss Aisha some advice for a first-time home buyer and somebody looking to get into the market either as a home buyer or owner-occupant investor, right? What is some advice that you would give her that could save her some time, stress, and give her some time freedom back?
Wow, that's such a loaded question, Louise. And sometimes I think my delivery is a little direct. Um, but there's a level of preparation to be in play. I know that there is money available for down payment and closing cost assistance. And if that is the route that you want to go, then you want to make sure that you know what your guidelines are for access to that money. Is there a minimum credit score requirement, and are you in a position that you're going to at least meet what the minimum credit score requirement is? Is there a hard stop debt to income ratio front and back end for this particular money? And if that's the case, then you want to make sure that you're working with a professional who can tell you what those are and tell you whether or not you're within those guidelines. Is it a matter of you may need to pay down some debt before you move forward? Then you need to be prepared to pay down some debt. If your credit scores are below what the down payment assistance guidelines are, but are still in range for you to purchase without the financial down payment assistance, then my opinion is that the best case scenario is that you just put money aside for a percentage of whatever it is you think you want to qualify for. So if you're looking at this is a good calculation, as y'all know. I don't do no math in my head. So if you're looking at $180,000 house, 3.5% of that is $6,300. So you may be able to do some type of a hybrid where you can get the down payment and close cost assistance and use some of your own money. But there's a level of preparation that needs to come into play. You need to make sure that your credit's right. And guys, let me say this popped up in a room the other day that I was in the mortgage syndicate, and the lady was talking about she was getting an FHA loan, and they did this thing called a K-Ruse, and all of a sudden she couldn't qualify for the loan. Now, when you have a loan through the federal government, they don't necessarily report on your credit report, but there is a system that as lenders we use in the paper system. And basically, what is that? That's where the government keeps track of all the money that the government has ever loaned you, student loans included. And when you default on those loans, you have a K-Ruse number that goes into default, which then means until that number becomes an active K-Ruse number, you cannot qualify for any government financing whatsoever. So, when I dug into the questions, I said, well, did you have a student loan with the government you defaulted on? She goes, well, yeah, it was $50,000, but I haven't gotten anything in years. At a certain point in time, people are not going to keep knocking on your door for you to get money, for you to try to pay their money. If you know you have defaulted on the loan, go find out who it is and start those payment plans and start getting that part of your life in order. You simplify the process
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Clubhouse. We're in a room. It's called Everyone Deserves a Home. How to buy houses for $7,500. If I knew then what I know now. 5 ways to access up to $80,000 in down payment assistance money. That's what we got going on right now. So I have it playing in the background, and I hope you can hear it. If not, I'll bring it over to here. Maybe be a little easier to hear what's going on. This person's a little bit fuzzy, so let's see if we can make it a little bit clearer. No, that made it worse. Let me do music quality.
As far as the cable, yes. A lot
Hey,
of
Dan.
times they come and they ask, can you delete my student loan, can you delete my student loan? But then when they try to go purchase a home, again, it does come upon a credit support. So I always make sure I tell my clients, you can delete this off your credit, your score, but you have to make sure it's not showing on a credit support. They also want to be denied from the home, for the home fee. So yeah, y'all always come and drop these dreams. I just wanted to say that. Okay.
Thank you for that, Queen. Yeah, man. Listen,
Thank you for the love. I appreciate it.
Somebody, Miss Patrice. Today, with that information, especially as far as the cavers, it all comes down to preparation, right? Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance, right? So talk about the 5 to 6 P's. That's the key. And I really, really, really hope somebody heard that in the building. Now, can I ask you an additional question, Miss Patrice? All right, Robinson, we got the answer with the mic again. Miss Patrice, are you still there? Okay, we're gonna give her a chance to get back to her mic. No worries.
Absolutely, Dan. We will.
Miss Aisha, so you heard so far as preparation of your documentation. You heard so far as lender credits to help you with your closing costs, right? So we got to be specific. That's to help you with closing costs. Now, in addition to that, Ms. Patrice broke down some of the guidelines that may fall within the spectrum of down payment assistance. All right. We want you to learn about another one, referenced as seller's concession. Do you know what a seller's concession is, Ms. Aisha?
No.
All right. A seller's concession is also referred to as a seller's credit, right? That can help you cover some of your closing costs or out-of-pocket costs when it comes to the purchase of the property. Those can be negotiated either during the inspection phase, the beginning of the contract, or after the appraisal of the contract. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
Okay. This is how that works. Property is $300,000. If you're getting an FHA loan, the maximum seller's concession that you can get is 6%, which is roughly $18,000. If you wanted to make an offer, full asking price offer, and include your closing costs, which could be up to $18,000, depending on the property, depending on the state, whatever it is. But let's just use these numbers as prime examples. You can add your offer of $318, $18 for you, $300 for the seller to help you cover your closing costs. Or the property's been on the market for 60 days or longer, and you know the seller really needs to sell the property. You can make a $300,000 offer with $18,000 deducted from the net seller's takeaway, so roughly leaving the seller with $272,000, I believe, some odd dollars, something to that effect. Right? No, $282,000, sorry. And that would effectively allow the seller to walk away with $282,000, you walk away with $18,000, and then that creates a win-win for both parties. Again, it just depends on the days on market. Or, like we mentioned, you can go in, do an inspection of the property, see that it needs an abundance amount of work, and then you can request credits, and those are repair credits for the property. You with me so far?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So, understand that these are different ways in which you can get access to additional funds to help you close your deal and come to the closing table with as little money out of pocket as possible. So hopefully that made sense, Queen. We got a community that you can follow, the moneytrees.club. Feel free to subscribe and text the Money Trees to the link in my bio or to the number in my bio, and we will make sure to join you as a part of the family. So Aisha, I hope that made sense this morning. I hope we brought value to you this morning. All right, I'm gonna take that mic clap as a value add. Mr. Robinson, welcome. All right, cool, no problem. Mr. Robinson, I see you. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
I wanna. This is the kind of brother I have in this house, right? I want to check out something I'm about to do right now for you, my brother. The link that's placed to the top, right? To honor you and what you're doing, I made sure I put the same link at the very top right. But I also think it was very fitting to every moderator in the room to be mentioned under Everyone Deserves a Home. So when you click on that link now, Louis, you'll see all your moderators on the list. Anyone that's not on the list, back channel me. But most importantly, Louis, on the top right, you're going to see the same link that you had up there before. I just wanted to make the use of that button much more valuable. Back to you, sir.
It's the team for me. It's the team that nobody sees. It's the team for me. I appreciate you, Sean. Yo, fire. Mr. Robinson, man. Mr. Robinson, welcome to Clubhouse, my brother. Huge shout out for you coming and joining us on stage. What questions do you have for us this morning that we may be able to help you with? And then we'll get back to the topic at hand. What's up, Mr. Robinson?
No question yet.
All right, no question yet, so hopefully they come up as we go. Mr. Onaje, are you in the building, bro?
I am here, always gonna support the room. Excited to see you on the holding the room today. So, yep.
Absolutely, bro. Quick question. If you knew then what you know now, what lessons would you bring to yourself 10, 15 years ago that you feel could have reduced the years or reduced the mistakes that you brought or that you found in real estate, bro?
Oh man, that list is long, bro. That list is long. I mean, I would say high level. I would have learned how to partner earlier. That's something that I kind of went at this solo, which is fine because I was for me. I'm doing this for whatever first. Then I can help others later, but probably would have partnered earlier. I would say I definitely would have been more aggressive around things that I knew for certain. So I was lucky enough to get started earlier a long time ago during the Great Recession, and everybody was scared. And I think when you have a lot of people around you that are not like-minded, not necessarily investors. Everybody can't be an investor. And this is, we come on this app every day and telling everybody they can be an investor. They can't. And it's not because you don't have money. And it's not because you're not smart enough. It's literally like, it's a mindset. It's the people around you who are the naysayers around you. And so for me, I would say the biggest thing is that I went years without really networking properly. My circle of friends were kind of the same circle that, wasn't necessarily in the space that I was in at that moment. You got friends that you're gonna kick it with and you're gonna go out to, go party with and do whatever with, right? But those friends may or may not be your potential future, investment advisors or people in your inner circle that's gonna help you push you along, right? And that doesn't mean that they can't be your friends. It just means that you need to expand your network. And you got to do that through partnership. You got to do that through talking, meet people, that kind of stuff. And so, I have a very strong network now that I've built very strong over the last few years and whatnot. But if my network was much stronger earlier, then I would have had people around me being able to fill in gaps and holes of knowledge that I maybe very large and strong now. I can call pretty much anybody to answer a question that I need to solve a problem. And I think if I would have had that earlier, yeah, I would probably be 5x where I'm at today, which I'm in a good spot, but yeah, I could only imagine.
All right, man. Talk about it, bro. I'm so happy you said that. And you know what? That brings us back to how we started the room earlier today. Do you think that that network and those phone calls that you can make now, could you do that if you didn't have credibility, bro? If you didn't have integrity, could you make those phone calls where people pick up?
No, man, and that right there is a whole nother. Yeah, that's a bigger, stronger question, right? So you're gonna get these stronger networks when you do what you say you're gonna do. Period. Like when you do what you say you're gonna do in life, that's how you get strong contacts, right? It's not capping. It's not saying that over time the higher you move up the chain, frankly, the more people at that level can smell you out for BS, right? So, like, as you move up, whatever game or hustle or whatever you think you are doing to get by right now, that shit don't work on me. That shit don't work on Arby. That shit don't work on the Lewis or TK or Patrice. Like, it just doesn't work, or Sheree Holloway. It just doesn't work on us. You know what I'm saying? And so if you want to, up your level, right, get your game up, learn, educate yourself, do what you say you're going to do. And it can be small, like it can be big, whatever it is. When people realize that you're a reliable person and a person that's good for your word, and you're going to do what you're going to say you're going to do, and you're not adding any more or whatever, I always say this is kind of a phrase of mine, like, you don't have to lie to kick it, right? So, you don't have to, when you have high level of integrity or whatnot, and that's consistent, people are gonna find you, people are gonna know you, people are gonna want to do business with you, and that's how you're gonna be able to climb quicker, faster, and then you're out here networking and letting people know that you're gonna do what you say you're gonna do. That just makes you stronger in whatever you're trying to do. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that. Mr. E. Oh yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
Quick question for you. I got a back channeled question. It says, can you ask Luis if he has any feedback on NACA? I'm assuming that means Naca. On my way.
Do I have any feedback on Naca?
Do it.
I think. What you say on Naca?
Do the program. Complete the program. Do what you
Tell them what
in that program.
Tell them what.
My house.
Yeah, I mean, look, I got to get off in like 2 minutes, but, NACA's a great program. It's a slow program. They've got a lot of rules and regulations, but it is a good, strong program where you can be assured that you're getting the best rate and the best terms possible for you. Many lenders will be able to get you into a house much quicker with other lenders and things like that and other programs, absolutely. But the game isn't really about getting quicker, right? Sometimes it is, but in the long term, when you're talking about buying your own personal home, you want to get into a good home for the best way possible and the cheapest way possible. And I'm not saying that is the end all be all, but it is, in my opinion, a great program for the people.
Man, y'all better listen to this man. He bought his very first property using Naca, and now he owns a portfolio of properties. I ain't gonna put his business out there. I'm just letting you know he's doing good. But in addition to that, right, we refer to Naca, or I'm gonna say me, right, because I like speaking into me. I don't like speaking for other people. But I refer to Naca as the Oxtail of real estate, or Oxtail of real estate financing. And the reason is because you can't cook a good meal of oxtail in 5 minutes. You definitely can't cook it in 10 minutes. It might take you a good 30 minutes, hour, to make sure that it marinates and it seeps in and you get what you're supposed to get out of it. And it's really, that's the case when it comes to Naca. It can take you anywhere from 6 months to 12 months to complete the program, but after you complete it, you got money, right? And just be
Can't hear you, Luis. Did you disappear?
I know he's been having some issues with his sound, so, until he comes, are you there, Luis?
Yeah, I think I'm
Luis,
back.
you
I don't
fell
know.
off.
I went on the whole. I went on the whole time and I was letting it go. All right, cool. So, this is my response. I refer to Naca as the Oxtail of real estate because it takes time in order to get a good dish, and it's not just all of a sudden. So, especially as the market continues to change, right, and the market kind of slows down a little bit more, it makes Naca more of a viable option. But for you, it could take about 6 to 12 months to finalize and complete the program, and then an additional 45 days for you to actually close on the loan. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully. I don't know if I went up.
You know, if I could, oh, go ahead, Sharice, did you want to?
No, I was just saying we could hear him. I think he was looking for a response from the person that answered the question.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in and come in behind Luis and say this. Some of you know my story, some of you don't. But the long and the short of it is when the market crashed, we almost lost our house to foreclosure. And so I was trying to work on modifying my loan. So, you know, like most people I was working with, the mortgage company, and I didn't feel like I was getting anywhere. And I truly stumbled across Naca because I didn't really know who or what Naca was at that point in time. And I started the process with Naca as well. Now, it's a tedious process because there's a lot of there's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of. Can you silence your mic, please?
I keep muting him. Ayo, I'm gonna move you down.
Yeah, I couldn't mute him either. I tried. But it is a process, and so there is a great deal of patience that you have to go through the process. And there are times that they're going to ask you for stuff that you've given them already, and there's a level of seriously, really, dude. But I will tell you that to this day, I believe that Naca played a huge part in my husband and my family and I not losing our home to foreclosure, just because of the scope of the organization that they are and the way that they operate. So I just wanted to kind of just add that to the conversation. Absolutely.
No, absolutely. And listen, guys, we want to provide you with as many options to succeed as possible, right? So you won't hear us kind of poo-poo an option unless if we kind of run it through the gambit and we know for a fact it may not be a good idea. But we don't want you to take anything that we're saying on these stages as gospel. We need you to write it down, research, and apply to make sure that it works for you. So this is not financial advice, so let me make that disclaimer here. We are recording these classes so that way you can go back and learn. And as you join our Everyone Deserves a Home community by sending text messages to that number in my bio, you will get access to the replays of this room. Actually, I got to send out the last replay as well. So you guys will continue to have access to the knowledge that we pour out into you, but do not take it for granted. It takes action to see outcome, right? So we just wanted to kind of impart that upon you. And Ms. Patrice, I wanted to ask you a specific question, and Ms. Sharice, since you guys have been in the mortgage industry for some time, I know people are continuing to be inspired by the play and getting into the business of lending as a whole, whether it be commercial, people are getting the MLO's license. For people looking to change their careers to the real estate realm, not so much in buying real estate, but actually doing the lending process, what's some takeaways that you wish you would have known when you got started in the business that they should learn or they should know? Because I think we can really help change people's lives with the lessons that we know now that we should have known then, but we may not have.
I'll go first, and then I'm sure Sharice going to have plenty to add on too. I see her blinking her mic. You know, I was a mortgage loan processor before I started originating. And getting into the originating side of things, there was so much that I did not know. I think it's really important as a new originator that you learn the language of mortgage, because mortgage has its own vocabulary. It's almost to some degree like French. I call it mortgagee, because you really need to know what is a 1003, what is an ERLA. Is it the same thing? I don't know. What is a deed of trust and how does that work? Are you in a homestead state? So there are just things that you need to know, let alone the myriad of mortgage loan programs. And I'm talking strictly from a 1 to 4 unit, Fannie, Freddie, and government lending space. And so we're looking at VA loans, FHA loans, USDA loans, conforming conventional loans for primary homes, secondary homes, investment properties, non-conforming products, jumbo financing. So, and just hearing all of that stuff, how much of it makes sense? What is a yield spread? What are discount points? What is origination? So there's so much that you really need to get a grasp of and an understanding of, so that when you move and operate in this space, you're doing so confidently because you not only understand what it is you're talking about, but you're coming across with a level of confidence in the knowledge that you know. Sherry, what do you got to add to that?
Well, I like to always come from the family and the budget planning side of it, because I think that what a lot of people don't understand, especially when you're stepping into this role, is this is a commission-based role. And so there's 2 things I highly recommend that you do, because a lot of times people see, and I'll just even speak from my experience when I was working in a banking center, and people would see me come in, work with people by appointment only. And so everybody thought, oh man, you got this great schedule. We're here working from, these bankers' hours from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and you come in and take a couple appointments and then you're out. But what they didn't see was that I was really working about 12 hours a day, because when I first started, I had to learn a lot. And maybe now what I can do in an hour may have taken me 3 or 4 hours to do when I first started. And I had to get in the mindset of putting in that time commitment. So first I had to have that conversation with those that are impacted daily with my daily activity. At the time I was married, and we had two young girls in the house, and we had to have that conversation about what my schedule is going to look like, and how we needed him to maybe change his schedule a little bit, or step up and help out in those areas that I may fall short, because I'm going to be working in my primary office all day, or whatever the case may be. So I think that's important, understanding the time investment. The other thing that I think is very important is understanding that you got to build a pipeline before you can have some consistency around your income. So you may come in, take a bunch of applications and close loans in your first 30 days, but what tends to happen with new originators is you go out and you prospect to get some deals, and then you get the deals, and then you're 100% focused on getting the deals closed, and then you're not prospecting. So now you close those deals, you get paid, but now it's another 30 to 60 days before you get paid again, right? So building that around keeping the consistency in every single day. You cannot stare at your files all day and call your processors all day and call your clients all day to make sure your files are moving so you get paid. You have to set that schedule and make sure that you're prospecting throughout the day, every day too, to get new business in, so that you're building a consistent pipeline, so that now you're seeing that pay come through every single month. And as a new loan officer, sometimes it's very hard to do, because you are juggling trying to learn, and you cannot move as fast as someone seasoned. So then what I always recommend when I would hire people is I would always say, hey, how do you feel, how are you able to support your family over the next 4 to 6 months? Let's say if you have some months in there where you're not getting any commissions, have that kind of ready to go and set aside, because then the worst thing that you can do is trying to learn this business while you're worried about if you're going to be able to pay your mortgage. So that's something that I think is very important for new people starting off, is understanding that prospecting and building the pipeline and getting new business is more important than processing the files, because those loans are eventually going to close. Shoot, it took me about 70 days, I think, to close my first refinance deal. It was like my very first one I took. I eventually got paid on it, but I had to continue prospecting, and I wasn't that good at it to ensure that consistent pipeline. So I hope that makes sense, and that's just very, very important for you guys. If you're looking to step into this industry, make sure that you got a backup plan for your budget, and make sure that you are preparing for the additional time commitment that it's going to take. The learning curve in this thing, I tell people, is about 18 months. It took me about 18 months. Yeah, it took me about 18 months before I could wake up in the morning and not feel like I had no idea what I was doing. So the learning curve is real, and you need to make sure that you have those conversations with your families, especially if you're a single parent, getting some support with your kids so that you can really truly focus on what you need to do to get ramped up. And then the business is wonderful. It's amazing. It's lucrative. It's offered me the ability to not have to miss a single anything that anyone in my family has going on. My daughter, my nieces, my nephews, they know that I will be at every field trip, every recital, every game. I don't miss anything for anybody in my family, birthdays or anything, because this career has allowed me to be able to be present for my family. But it does come at a cost, and you just got to know how to balance it.
Well, let me just add with everything that Cherie just said. I will tell you a common mistake that I see new mortgage loan originators do. Whether you're closing 2 deals or you're closing 10 deals, and recognize that as an MLO, if you're juggling anywhere from 6 to 10 to 12 files in a month, that's a lot of loans. And there is a certain amount of follow-up as far as how you communicate with your realtors that's involved. But there is a whole lot of this business that bleeds into time at home and time on the weekend, because part of being a mortgage loan originator is being accessible. And, people don't just shop for homes Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So recognize that may be something that you're going to have to learn how to juggle, and your family is going to have to learn how to be able to support. I'm at a point now, I've been doing this for 24 years. So I choose not to work on Sundays anymore, but there was a point in time early in my career that if somebody called me on a Sunday, after I got out of church, I'd make it a point to call them. I can remember there were nights when I first started that I would go into the office at 7:30 in the morning, and I wouldn't come home until 7:30 at night. So my husband had the kids, my husband had dinner. But similar to what Cherie said, I always took my daughter to dance class. I was at every recital. I was at every one of my son's soccer games, every one of my son's baseball games. We traveled baseball, we traveled soccer, we traveled dance. So the flexibility that you can build into your life with this career and still make a phenomenal income is there, but you really have to learn how to put in place your checks and balances and be accountable to the things that you put in place to buffer your family time in your business. And just recognize that you may have a loan in process. Don't spend that money before it funds, because there are a lot of things that can happen between the day you take the application and the day that the loan closes. So
Happy Thankful Thursday.
Spending money that you don't have. That's probably way more from either of us that you asked for, Luis, but there you go.
Nah, that's exactly what I was going at. I think it's important that we stay authentically real, right? This is real estate. And the truest real estate that we can have is the understanding between our two ears, just through and through. I think it's important that we stay, like Miss Alicia Cooper says, right, with our moral compass at our true north, right? And I think people look at real estate, or the industry of real estate, as money everywhere. But there's a lot of time lost. There's a lot of relationships lost. There's a lot of things lost before you gain a damn thing. And I wish HGTV would do a better job of showing people that it takes more than 30 days to get paid, and for every one closing, it took 90 days per closing to even recruit the file, right? Like, can we speak to it? Like, there's a lot that I wish I would have known, especially how long it takes to generate any income, let alone a lot of income. So I think it's extremely because there's a lot of sacrifice before there's ever a lot of gain. So, yeah, that part.
Sing it from the rafters, Luis. Sing it from the rafters.
So let's ping pong, man. I don't want to just have to call on people. What do you?
Luis, can I say something to you real quick? I just wanted to point out to everybody, and that I got my start in the mortgage industry, you know, and just to be clear, I have not been in that space in years. I've worked with, you know, mortgage brokers, but I will tell you that even if you can get in on an entry level, you know, as like a receptionist or as an office manager or something along that, so you can see how that environment works too before you jump head into, you know, an LO position or a commission-based position. That's another way, you know, to get in, because I'm going to tell you right now, I started at 17 years old, still in high school, with nothing but a pad of paper and a phone, and just as the receptionist of a mortgage broker's office. And then I graduated high school, and I literally looked at my boss and was like, I need, you know, I'd like some more responsibility. I really feel like I understand this industry. And he's like, oh, you want more responsibility? And he legitimately grabbed my hand, fired the processor right in front of me and told me to figure it out, which is not what I had planned. Nor what I was expecting. However, legitimately threw me into the mortgage industry. So my point being is that there's ways to kind of, you know, step in gradually instead of just diving in and feeling like, you know, oh God, what am I going to do? Because I think that's the scariest part about commission-based jobs or jobs where you're 1099 or you're an independent contractor is that, you know, or even starting your own business. I think that's what prevents people from starting. So I just wanted to throw that out there. As you have, you know, find maybe one that has like a receptionist position, and then, you know, kind of ease your way in, understanding the industry, and then you can move forward. So that's all I wanted to say.
I appreciate that, Kristen. Thank you for sharing that perspective. I think we got a speaker on the stage, Miss Nicole. Thank you for coming up to the stage, Ms. Nicole. What questions do you have about real estate as a whole, or what advice do you wish you had right now that you want to kind of extrapolate for some of the speakers on stage? What are your thoughts?
Well, hello everyone. Thank you for inviting me up on the stage. I came up primarily because I was the person who asked Kelly to ask about the Naca program. And for two, there's a lot of information that I've gotten so far off of Clubhouse that I wish I had 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, that I could be involved in right now. But yeah, my question was about the NACA. I just wanted some feedback about the NACA program. Someone had told me about it, and I was looking into it. So I decided to give it a shot. And I've already did my workshop, and now I'm getting ready. I'm uploading documents now, so I can get an appointment for the first intake. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Got it. I'm truly happy that you asked the question with regards to Naca, because it's one of the overlooked mortgage loan products that are out there. But if there's anybody in the room right now that has piss poor credit, if there's anybody in the room right now that doesn't feel like they have the money to bring to the table, let alone $7,500, they may not have a lot of money or any money kind of built up, but they know for sure they are tired of being homeless. Now, let me preface that by saying this. If you do not own a home or own a mortgage to eventually own a home, you're essentially, now you may not like the way that makes you feel right now, you're essentially homeless. But we're here to empower, enable, and educate you to make that decision to do the right thing. And you can have perfect credit and go through Naca. You can have an amazing portfolio, because I know one of our clients was actually a high-level exec at L'Oreal, and she had Naca. So it really, they don't discriminate if you make a lot of money, but they also don't discriminate if you don't. So it's an amazing program that forces you to go through the process of education before they ever give you that green light to go out and purchase that property. So it's an amazing program, right? It may not be for everybody. It may not be for every market, right? Because every loan program has their own takeaways, right? Or their own disadvantages, right? But at the same time, it is an open availability of financing for everybody out there. So I hope that makes sense, Ms. Nicole. If you got any additional questions to it, I actually know several Naca certified realtors that can even delve a little bit deeper with regards to the process for you, just in case you need additional assistance with that. I hope that makes sense.
Made perfect sense. Thank you very much. Appreciate
All
it.
right. All righty. So, hey man, we got some additional professionals on stage. We have Miss Bridget join us on stage. What's going on, Miss Bridget? How are you?
Hey, how are ya? I'm pulling my hair out, trying to get some things done, but I'm doing all right. Just working it. I thought that was interesting what you had said as far as things that you wish you knew. I wish that I had known years ago that while I was working with my investors, that I could have did both sides of the deal. Back in the day, I actually had a mortgage bank. I don't know if many of y'all know IndyMac. Back in the day, I was actually a mortgage banker with them, had my own line of credit and everything. But when I started doing real estate, I thought it was kind of hard to walk that fine line of integrity, knowing everything that I knew as far as to do the deal. But it's different when you're brokering the deal because you don't have to do the underwriting and the processing and all that other stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I had known this. But it is some good information. I just wish I had known years ago. And like you said, real estate, I think a lot of times people see the glamour of it, but I remember back in 2008, 2009 when the market crashed, and I shared this story in my book, but I went from a 7,000 square foot home to literally no home and spent some time in shelter. So, you can have a great month, and then you can go, 6 months with no closing, and being able to manage, money in between the time and different things like that. All of that's important, and so just like any business, cash flow, managing your cash flow, managing your expenses. In between the time kind of a thing, you make some great money, but at the same time, you have to manage expenses. So, like I said, those are just some things that I would have known ahead of time. So, thanks for sharing, and thanks for the space.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate your transparency, Ms. Bridget, and your vulnerability, because I know that helped change somebody. Listen, I wanted to say this, and especially with response to how you shared that just now, right? We are not realtors. We're a business. And I love the fact that you mentioned that profit and loss and kind of getting that together, because if we don't have that, and like you said, that dry spell comes, because it's inevitable for this. Sometimes I hope you close 4 deals the last month, because of that next deal, it may get delayed, right? Or it may get canceled, or something might go awry, or all of a sudden they no longer qualify. There was a gem that Miss Patrice dropped, and Miss Alicia dropped the other day while we were in Miss Alicia Cooper's Business Fund Academy. Whereas sometimes we as real estate professionals, we're dealing with the client, and we're going through the client, and everything seems great, and everything's going off without a hitch. And then we get a notification that the client no longer qualifies. And the first thing that we say as realtors, like, but why didn't we know that from the beginning? And the client says it too, like, but if you would have just asked for that, and then you would have known all of a sudden. Miss Patrice and Miss Alicia said it in the most angelic way possible. If they over ask in the beginning, you may never qualify. Point blank, period. Because they cannot unsee what they have seen. Miss Patrice and Miss Cherie, can y'all speak to that? What exactly does that mean?
I know what I'm looking at loans, and I'm gonna love to hear Cherie's perspective, because Cherie did my loan when I purchased my investment property, and bless her, she's thinking about hard. I was the worst customer you could ever have. It's like the doctor doing the patient.
She's gonna stop saying that.
I'm never gonna stop saying it. It was the lender being the borrower, right? And so as I'm giving her documentation, because I know how the process works, there's just things I didn't tell her. And don't get me wrong, she needed to know the really important stuff. But at the end of the day, if the underwriter didn't catch something on a bank statement, I wasn't going to bring the underwriter's attention to it. So basically, my philosophy is keep it simple. What do the guidelines ask for? And that is the only level of documentation that you want to have provided. Now, as a good loan originator, you're going to look at that documentation to determine if you should ask for additional items. Point blank, period. Like if I know somebody's receiving child support and I'm using that child support as income, guess what? I have to have a divorce decree. It tells you a whole lot of stuff sometimes as far as, are there debts that you're responsible in the divorce decree that may not show up on your credit report? That's not necessary. Or how about you have something that comes out of your checking account every 2 weeks, but it's not showing up as a bill. So what is it? And you guys have heard me say a bajillion times that by the end of the process, as your mortgage loan originator, I'm going to know if you got a side piece. Because if you are paying Four Seasons or the Ritz-Carlton every 2 weeks and it's $375, at some point in time, an underwriter's going to look at that and they're going to want to know, why are you paying the Ritz-Carlton $375 every 2 weeks? And is that something we need to count in your debt to income ratio? I had an instance where, a guy was, basically he had roughly $80, and it wasn't my client, this is something that I've seen, but he basically had $80 coming out of his account every week. And so the underwriter came back and she's like, I need to know what this $80 is, and is this a debt that's not on your credit report, and it's something that you're obligated to pay. You know what he was buying? He was buying his weed. So, right? So, the stuff that we come across when we come up to taxes, if you have a self-employed borrower, you can't avoid getting taxes. It just is, get the necessary paperwork required, because any other paperwork you get can open the door to questions that are going to have to be answered. Cherie, you got a take on that?
Yeah, and then just the other thing too, like how Louise kind of started, like, hey, we get to a certain point, it's like, oh, your borrower doesn't qualify anymore. And some of that also happens too because, yes, there's certain things that, we're going to go based on the basic information that we need, income, credit, assets, but also sometimes there are critical pieces of information that aren't divulged, and I can only qualify you based on what I have. So when I do ask, hey, do you have any other debts? And just because, let's say, maybe your child support doesn't show up on your credit report, you decide not to tell me about that, it can still come up. And then if I have to add it in, that counts against your debt to income ratios. And so usually kind of what my train of thought is, I do go by the rule of I can't unsee things, which is why I'm very specific in the documentation I ask you to provide. So I will say this. We ask you to provide certain documents when before we would pre-qualify you, 2 to 3 months official bank statements, all pages. 2 to 3 months official bank statements, all pages. Last 30 days last 30 days pay stubs. Last 2 years W-2s. If you're self-employed, last 2 years tax returns, or whatever the case may be. And then send me that and only that, right? And a lot of times that's going to give me the information that I need. But if you send me less than that, and I don't have all the information that I need, because typically what I'm doing is I am going through the bank statements to see if there is anything that that the underwriter is going to come back and ask you about, and so that kind of stuff I can tell you up front. But if you don't give me the specific information that I need up front, that could change change your approval. And then there's also things that you can do during the process that can change your approval, like taking out additional debt, changing your employment type. So going from being a W-2 borrower to self-employed or something that's highly commission-based, even if it's in the same field. So I always tell people when I issue the pre-approval letters, hey, this pre-approval is based on the information provided at the time of this letter. Any information not provided or any changes to the information provided at the time that I issued this letter out to you could change your pre-approval. And that's why we always say be really transparent with your loan officer, and then be expeditious in getting the information. If we go to initial underwriting, the underwriter's asking for us to provide some additional documentation for a condition, don't take 2-3 days, a week. Like I tell all my clients, hey, when I reach out to you for a document, I need that stuff back within 24 hours, period. Like in 24 hours, you should have gone home from work. You should have, you should have had some time. And you got to understand too, just like you guys want us to be available, you got to be available in this transaction. Please don't send me a contract that closes on November 30th and then be like, oh, but I'm going to be out of the country for 10 days during that time frame. Okay, well then we might need to push your closing date out. Like, I need you to, just like you need me to be here and be available and answer my phone, this is your transaction, this is your house, that we're trying to, you got to be available too. And so, all that stuff is really important. So I do take good care of my clients, but my clients also understand that but they also understand that I'm matter of fact and I get straight to the point because I want you to have that sense of urgency so we can get you moved along. And, the biggest thing as a loan officer for us is what we got to do. We got to deliver bad news fast, and we got to be ready to come up with solutions as well. So that's kind of how I manage my business. But yes, just because you get a pre-approval letter, that home is not yours until you have the keys. I don't care if you sign documents with me today and your loan doesn't fund tomorrow. Please don't, until tomorrow, maybe the seller is a mail out. Don't go out and buy a bunch of furniture before tomorrow when you pick up your keys. It's not until that loan funds and you have your keys that is your home and that loan is done.
Hold up, wait a minute. Let me just say one more thing.
Woo!
We follow the money, okay? When you are purchasing a home, you cannot borrow money for that purchase. There are a lot of people that they're like, what do you mean I can't get a cash advance on my credit card for closing costs? No, you cannot. So if you are moving, let's say you have an account at ABC Bank and you gave me bank statements for account XYZ Bank, and there are transactions where you have taken money from ABC Bank and you have transferred it to XYZ Bank, guess what? Now you got to provide me the bank statements from the other bank that you didn't disclose on your loan application. And if there is something out of whack, if there are large deposits, if there's something that says payday loans, if there's anything on that account, you have just disqualified yourself from being able to qualify for a loan. So it's really, really important to recognize that if I come back and go, I see your payroll deposits, but what is this $1,000 every 3 weeks or every 2 weeks? You're going to have to be able to tell me what that $1,000 is. Then you're going to have to provide me the documentation to source those funds. So if you're working you got a side hustle and you're getting cash, guess where that cash cannot go? So that's probably one of the things that frustrates a borrower more than anything is when they have to start explaining what their deposits are. Because then they get pissed because it makes them feel like they're doing something criminal when it's just the way that they do things. But when you are buying a home, it is definitely I's dotted and T's crossed, period. And there's no way to get around that. It's not I think you should talk to the underwriter about this, or I don't understand why they're asking. We're asking it for a reason. You're borrowing $250,000, $350,000, $500,000. So we're going to make sure that the person who we are loaning that money to is going to be able to pay that money back. That's why we look at so much stuff when you're getting qualified to purchase a home. And I'm done with.
Man, listen, if y'all not not taking notes, y'all bugging out. I'm not gonna lie to you. Right now, a lot of powerful things are happening in this room. Somebody just realized they gotta cut off their side piece before they get a mortgage. I'm just saying.
That's a great way to get exposure and get people to know what I'm doing with
I'm
those.
just saying, somebody making life decisions from this phone call right now, and I'm letting you know, yeah, they got eyes on you. Yeah, that's happening. Right? You got grown folks, as in the bank, looking at where your money is going, and now you might have to make different life decisions. Right? So that's one. Two, you guys just heard literal gospel, man. I'm telling you, this is the good word. Why can I tell you that this is the good word that you just heard from these two outstanding mortgage lenders on the stage? Because I've had a client almost get disqualified for a loan because he got a $100,000 deposit from Nigeria and couldn't source the money. Huh? Yeah, that happens. Who told you you can just get random money? Why are we doing this transaction? Who told you that was a thing? Who told you it was okay to go out and purchase a car in the middle of the home purchase? Miss Keller, you on stage?
I didn't recommend that at all. I can't even vouch for that person.
Can talk to us. What's some of the coaching that you give people when they come to your institution and they try to buy a car? Because I love how you break it down for people. What do you tell them?
Sure thing. So, first and foremost, a good quality salesperson at a dealership is going to do something called a needs analysis. In that needs analysis, they may ask you about the vehicle, but they also should be asking you about your long-term and short-term goals. Now, those long-term and short-term goal questions are being asked, one, to see if they should, of course, show you buying versus leasing numbers, but also, should they even sell you a car at all? Now, I know that sounds crazy coming from somebody who sells cars, but one thing I am not going to do is be one of those people that have used this line that says, well, you can live in your car, but you can't drive your house. I've heard it been said, and that is something that I do not want my clients to experience. So if you are looking to buy a house in the next 6 months to a year, then guess what? I can show you the vehicle, but I cannot sell it to you. And I am okay with telling you no, and I am okay with scheduling that appointment with you and whatnot, but I'm not going to be the reason or the catalyst as to why your children or your spouse can't live in the home that they deserve. Now, if you decide that you absolutely just cannot wait, it can, in fact, and will affect your fundability. So what does that mean? It means that maybe before you bought the car, you could have afforded more home. And now you are being cut back in the amount of home you can afford, because your car payment has a direct correlation to how much home you can afford. If it doesn't disqualify you 100%. So there are many different ways to still, like, let's say you're in the middle of the home buying process and you absolutely need a car. There are multiple ways that I can get you in a car with it not affecting your credit or your or adding any loan to your credit report. So, and I've touched on it in this room before with subscription services. So please do not buy a car before you buy your house. If you're looking to do both things in the same year,
Don't buy a car when you're buying a house.
The car can wait. And then come see me or call me, back channel me, message me. And in regards, Lewis, to what you were saying earlier, don't you know I had a lady yesterday call me up from Instagram, like via that Instagram phone thing, and she says, well, there's a lot of people who can vouch for you, and they say that you are who you say you are, but there were some other people on that stage with you I just didn't know. And I said, well, the first and foremost thing I'm going to send to you, because word of mouth is great, but I want you to know that I have the licenses and the certifications that I say I do. So I, sure enough, text messaged her a picture of not just my master certification, but also my dealer license and sales license, and I showed it to her, and she was like, oh, okay, I feel better now. And that should be okay for people to just meet somebody on an app right, and only ever spoken to you, you should be okay with being able to provide those receipts that show, hey, I am who I say I am, and I do what I say I've been doing. Because there's definitely a lot of people who may be in the same industry, but maybe don't have the same amount of experience, maybe don't have the same knowledge, and it can come across as though they are fraudulent or just giving out misinformation. But then there are also people who do not do what they say they do at all. So just be very, very careful. And I do encourage everybody to ask for proof, because that's okay. As long as you can prove who you say you are, it is okay to show that proof. So I'm going to go ahead and mute up. But yes, don't let your car affect buying a home. That's silly.
Boom.
Hey.
I appreciate that, Kelly.
Okay.
Miss Elma, I saw you on mic. What questions do you have for us? And
Okay.
welcome to Clubhouse.
Thank you. I'm pretty new. I just joined on Sunday, so I have a lot of questions about mortgage, buying a home. As more and more people are self-employed, I think the mortgage industry is somewhat antiquated in terms of how they gather information. For example, I closed my retail store about a year ago, and I've been doing private sales, and it's been actually very successful. A lot of my money it comes through alternative funds like Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. How do I account for that as income when buying a home?
So Elma, let me jump in here, because self-employed borrowers, you guys, I love y'all, but it's issue is just the paperwork. So you said you had that business for how many years?
Well, I've been in business for over 25 years. I've lived, educate my children, some of the best schools for my self-employment. That means I've not had a W-2 or been paid by anyone but myself.
Okay, I'm going to help you with something real quick. I want you to answer the questions specifically to what I'm asking you. So for the clothing business that you're talking about, how long have you had that business?
It's not a clothing, it's a jewelry business.
Sorry, okay. For how
Over
long have
20
you had
years.
that? Okay, so have you been filing tax returns the last 20 years?
I have been. Last year was a little bit tough because I closed for a year.
Okay, so this is how it works. However, like your source of income, and still file taxes and income, it doesn't really matter if you're operating out of the store or not. It just matters that you still get income in the name of that business. So we may only need 1 year tax return, but if you looked at your 1 year like your most recent tax return, and it's like, yeah, that wasn't a good year, we can still go out to the 2 years and average it out over the 24 months to kind of help you. But typically for the business tax returns, it's going to be 12 to 24 months. We're not necessarily looking at like, oh, my people are paying me through Cash App, but you do want to make sure that that money is all being transferred to your business bank account, especially if you're an S corp and not like a personal account. And other than that, you should be good. But yes, for self-employed borrowers, we do got to look at the tax returns. And if you've been in business for 20 years, I'm sure you consistently filed them, even if you have like those ebbs and flows, which we can average out the 24 months to help you. And the last thing I'll say, I'm sure Patrice has something on this. The last thing I'll say for business owners is this, and this is not just for you, Miss Elma, this is for any business owners in this room listening to me right now. I really would recommend that as business owners, you guys stop using tax preparers. So like saving your receipts and then going in and at the end of the year saying, hey, here's all my stuff, here's my bank statements, here's my expenses, prepare my taxes. You need more of a tax planning situation, especially if you're trying to purchase a home, because you want to have somebody that can help you to really maximize your tax return, not having to write off every single penny, but then also setting you up so that you are able to show income when needed. Like, for example, oh, I know that I'm going to be purchasing a home in the next 12 to 24 months, Mr. Tax Planner. Let's make sure we're structuring my taxes to mitigate my tax liability, but also to be able to show some income so I can actually qualify for this loan. Because I don't care. I've had clients where they got $3 million in gross receipts, but hey, if you write it down to 50,000, I mean, I know you're technically balling every month, but I can only use, what you claimed as income outside of expenses. So it's the 50,000. So, just also kind of look at that too. Make sure that either your CPA or your planner that you're working with understands what your in the near future goals or what your future goals are going to be for those next couple tax years. So they're also kind of helping you with that. So that's my kind of 2 cents on that. I actually love now that's probably the one thing about mortgages that I do nerd out on. I love analyzing and calculating self-employed income. I don't know why I like listening to those tax returns, but I do. So feel free to reach out to me as well. You can click on my bio there. Either follow me and send me back channel, or go to my 10kparchery10k.com and you can set up a consultation. And I don't mind looking at it and at least giving you an idea on where you would kind of end up from an income standpoint so that you can have the right conversation with, the person that's preparing your taxes. With that, I'll yield the mic. I think I saw Patrice about to say something too.
And thank you for your feedback. I just quickly wanted to add in too that I just decided to add myself as an employee for the first time of my company.
Awesome. And then again, anything that you do, just make sure that your tax planner is the one that's, making sure that that's the right thing for you and gonna match what you need, right? And also don't be afraid whether you're working with, it doesn't matter what loan officer you're working with. For me, when I'm working with self-employed people, I need your CPA or your tax preparers. I need their phone number because I also need to have I need to be able to have conversations with them too. Because a lot of times as a consumer, you may not understand what's happening on your tax return.
This is funny.
And some things
You have to
I
look at
can
this
have a
to see what I'm
conversation
doing.
with a good letter of explanation from the CPA. I can get some things for self-employed borrowers, some of those expenses that you wrote off, added back in, if it makes sense, and we can prove that it was like a one-time expense, like a loss
These are fun.
or a repair, something that you don't have to do every year. So make sure also that, especially if
I don't know
you
what
have
this
some pretty
one does.
complex tax returns, again, this is for everybody in the room. Make sure that if you have some complex tax returns, that your loan officer and the person preparing your returns are able to have that conversation too, because I've been able to save deals.
What is
just
that?
by sitting down with a tax planner or tax preparer CPA and say, hey,
okay.
I noticed that they had this huge expense right here. This wasn't on the previous year returns. What is this for? And is this something that you're projecting that you're going to have to add to the income year return?
Is for the way you look
and they can give me
at
a
me.
letter, I can usually take that to underwriting and add
Is
that
for
back
the only
so there's a lot of things that you can do,
one I
but
see.
you gotta have your documentation in order.
Is
And
very,
you gotta have a plan
very
too when you're dealing with preparing those taxes. So like as you're getting prepared for
is even more.
2021 taxes, I just kind of gave you a roadmap
That was
of
kind
the
of fun.
conversation you want to have with your CPA before you all start going and writing off every single penny if we know you want to get
These
qualified.
filters are kind of cool.
Thank you for that. I need to hire a professional soon.
Yes. And there's several on this app as well. Off the top of my head, and any other mods can think of any, but I can think of Larry D. West the third. He's on the app. I know that he does tax planning and preparation, so he might be a great one for you to reach out to. And if anybody else can think of someone,
That's who I recommend on my client schedule.
Is this state based? Because I'm in New York, and I notice a lot of people don't service New York for some reason.
Oh, when it comes to your income from your tax returns and qualifying for a mortgage, no, that's across the board. That applies to everybody. I am not licensed in New York. I'm still happy to take a look at yours so I can help you get prepared, and then I can definitely get you connected with some folks out in New York for sure.
All right. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your feedback.
You are welcome.
Yeah, I know Larry D. West the third, Colette Woods, and man, how's his name? Malachi Sims as well.
Oh yeah, Malachi, you're right.
Sims. Okay.
And we'll actually send you their information. I don't know if you're familiar with the way Clubhouse works, but there's that little airplane. I don't know if you see that little airplane on the right-hand corner your screen. That's a back channel, so you can put in any of the moderators that you follow. You can send them a message. We're going to send you a message with the links of those people that we just recommended. Feel free to give them a call, kind of see who works best for you. But we are only recommending top professionals that we like, know, and trust. And emphasis on the trust part. So I just wanted to let you know.
And Louis, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna send that to her right now. I'll send Malachi, and who was the other one you gave?
Colette Woods, and then yeah. So I think that's and Larry. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Miss Pat, I saw you on mic. As an underwriter, what's going on? We need to hear from you.
Hey, how are you guys? I've been sitting here listening, and I've great information on the self-employed with the tax returns, and there are so many things that, as an underwriter, we can add back in. I see tax returns all the time where a person does not take any kind of a depreciation. So you need to look at that as far as your business goes, because we can add back in depreciation to help you qualify. We can put back in mileage if you're using your vehicle. That's something that we can add back in as well when we're figuring income. We add your salary back in if you give yourself a salary. Even some Schedule C clients give themselves a salary. So it doesn't have to necessarily be 1120s or 1065s where you W-2 yourself and have a K-1. It's just different various ways. AUS or LP will determine the number of years of tax returns. If you've been in business as self-employed for 5 years, DU's only going to ask for 1 year unless it's been declining income. Then we're going to want 2. And then we'll average. There's just so many ways. I see a lot of people now wanting a TBD approval before they even go out looking for a house to make sure the bar qualifies before a realtor will even take them out and show them. I've done 3 this week where I did one with a borrower right in the middle of wanting their pre-qualification to change jobs or quit. You can't get a house if you don't have a job. So, I mean, it's just so many different ways. And just to let you know that Fannie is now allowing credit card reward points to be used.
To be used for what? Wait a minute. Tell me some, Pat. To be used for what?
Can be used as assets. It can be used for funds for closing.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm snipping this.
Hold on. Pat, you have just been recording because I will be sending that to my underwriter if they tell me no. I'm be like, Pat said.
No, don't say Pat said. Tell them to go to B3-4.2-0.2. Fannie permits credit card reward points as acceptable funds used toward closing costs, down payment, financial reserves, providing reward points are converted to cash prior to the loan closing.
Nice. I mean, for business owners, that's huge, right, Pat? Because you'll have business owners with these reward cards, and they'll have tens of thousands of dollars in points, especially like construction owners. I mean, that is huge.
And I truly wish I had a way to do a snippet, because I'm sitting here and underwriting.
Hey, Pat, I'm going to share this on Real Estate for the People on RB's thing. I'm actually streaming like 5 ways right now, so I'll get that over to RB's room after we're all done here.
Okay.
Good job.
Yeah, this just come out within the last few weeks. So at our last underwriting meeting, which was just, I think it's the one before this, well, probably the last 30 days it's come out that Fannie is allowing that. So,
hey Pat, what's your consultation fees for an hour?
I don't have one.
Okay, I'm gonna send you one because what we do on the bank ready side when we're developing these underwriter written, I've got one, but she doesn't say that. So I'm dead ass serious. I need to consult with you for an hour or whatever and add some of those details into how we do our financial performance, right?
Okay.
So that those businesses are set, because we're in the acquisition business as well, with franchises and whatnot. So that's a major component when they're getting with their CPAs, to know that piece. So yeah, I'm back telling you now. Just figure out what that is. I'm serious.
And I just want to, I'm sorry, I just want to jump in. I'm online and I'm reading it. So you can find it on Google.
Yeah, you can go to fanniemae.com and you can also find it there as well. So
As of August 4th of this year.
right. So well, Fannie Mae did that, but it's just come into play with our company just within the last 30 days or so that has been brought to us. That yes, you can use it. Here are the guidelines for.
Yes. So Pat, you just said something key right there that's important for the room to understand. Fannie Mae will add guidelines. That doesn't mean every single company will participate. So just keep that in mind. But Pat, I back channeled you because I need to talk to you. So
Okay.
please check your back channel. Thank you.
I've been doing this for 35 years. I started out in the title business. That's where, and then I became a realtor at the same time in the small town I was working in. The realtors didn't like the competition, so they gave my boss an ultimatum. She either gives up her real estate license or you let her go. And I went, then I guess you need to fire me because I'm not giving up my real estate license. So, needless to say, I was fired. Kept my real
Pat,
estate.
really quick, Pat.
They were a fool.
What's your 10K card, Pat? Do you have a 10K card?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Do you have a 10K card as yet? Oh man, Pat, you're green to the environment. Check your back channel in half an hour.
Okay, I'll do that.
Miss Pat, this is
I'm new to Clubhouse as well, so just kind of give me a break on that. But I try to find out all the information.
I'm just poking you, Queen. I'm just poking you. In half an hour, check your back channel.
Okay, I'll do that. But,
hey, Miss Pat.
yes.
This is Kelly. So there's a song called 24 Hours to Live, and I'm almost positive you haven't heard it, but there is a line in that song, and it goes, when you come with the bullets, we prepare with the bombs. And what you just said was a whole entire bomb. So I'm going to say thank you for that one.
You're welcome. I do try to answer anyone who approaches me, any questions that they have. If I can't find an answer, don't know the answer, I will go and find it for you guys. I'm really great at, have so many different resources and other people that I can reach out to for anything and everything in the world. Conventional and FHA is what I do right now. Like I said, I've been doing it for 35 years, and I underwrite loans all across the country, and all types of loans, as far as the salary borrower, the self-employed borrower. They're getting a little bit tighter on foster care income, but it's there. And the comments that were made earlier about the bank statements and seeing some reoccurring payments. Yep, I'm notorious for looking through your bank statements, and if I see every month,
Stop doing that, Miss Pat.
I can't help it. It's, it's those investors that we sell it to that come back, and sometimes we have to go back to them and say, hey, Fannie's guidelines are this, that this borrower has more than 20% in assets, then we don't have to count that money they took out from their 401k. And so right now we're fighting one with an investor that was, hey, we didn't have to count that because they had greater than 20%, so therefore it wasn't needed. But here again, nice little COVID-19 has stepped in, and that was one of the COVID guidelines at the time, so we're trying to see if they'll waive that. And by the way, a lot of the COVID guidelines have now been lifted. Whereas conventional loan, it was 2 months of bank statements. Now it's one.
on a conventional loan. It was one.
Boom, 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 boom. Hey, listen, guys. I know we've kind of reduced the class to 1 day a week, but let me tell you something. It's about value, baby. It's not about the quantity of days. It's about the quality of the days. My God, Miss Pat came out swinging. I had to throw her a green bean. I was like, whoa, she is not playing games today. Man, shout out to you, Miss Pat. Shout out to you, and shout out to the other amazing mortgage lenders and moderators that we got on stage, man. Y'all been changing the game today. I ain't gonna lie to you. I told you. But let's continue to get the juices flowing, right? We're here today to give advice and to cut years out of people's failures, right? I know when I started in real estate, my first 5 years, I'd easily call that a failure, right? I was kind of scraping by.
Oh, using the matrix.
I wish I would have had a coach, right? Like Coach C. Austin. I wish I would have had a realtor like RB the realtor to lay down the smackdown about the facts of real estate and creating a profitable property. I wish I would have had these outstanding mortgage lenders and underwriters on stage to teach me the nitty-gritty details to make the difference for my clients. And let me just preface this by saying this. I want to give a shout out to my credit professionals and credit rejuvenation professionals. I don't think y'all do credit repair. Y'all do rejuvenation. I got to give a huge shout out to y'all because y'all actually leading one of the classes for the Everyone Deserves a Home Club next week on Tuesday about, do you want credit professionals or do you want credit magicians? So I know there's a difference, right? And I just want to give a huge shout out to y'all because we haven't heard that much from y'all today, but I got to hear from y'all, man. What's one or some lessons that you know now that you wish you would have knew back then, especially getting involved in your specific industries?
I wish I had known credit straight out of high school. Listen, and I hear this from all the other professionals that I've worked with. Everyone, especially when they're learning about this now, they all say, I wish I had learned credit the way, had I come out of high school, I would have been a lot further, and we say this all the time, especially when I teach, when I do these workshops locally, and when I be on these stages, we all reference, I wish they taught us this in school. Had I known what I know right now, come on. Before we had responsibilities, before we had kids, a lot of us that were ahead of our time, because coming out of high school, coming out of high school, and going into college, my way of making extra money was hosting parties at the school. And after I graduated, I became a club promoter. Had I known what I know, I would have been leveraging credit. I would have been leveraging credit and all the people that I've met. I would have been using that to then get into deals. Like I was young and on fire. So imagine if our parents were to have positioned us in a better position, especially leveraging other people's money, we would have known what to do with that money. We would have had early years of failure and where we are afraid to make failures at our age now, in our 30s and our 40s. Had we experienced that early on, we would have been on fire in our 30s and our 40s. A lot of us are. But imagine if we were equipped with that early on, right? We would have gotten all that out. And then our friends would have been leveling up with us too, because we would have been able to share that with our friends. Because, hey, at that time, we were always talking about, hey, this didn't work this way. Let's do this. Let's do that. You had your friends that were beside you, ready to do whatever you wanted to do. Now that we have responsibilities, we have kids. We're not in the place, and we don't have room to make failures. And that's the reason. And I'm sure many of you guys listening right now, isn't it hard to find people on the same level as you now that you've gotten older? It's like, you know what? Let me know how that's gonna work, and then I'll come on. You want your friends, you want your families right beside you, especially your friends, your siblings, and things like that. So imagine, I'm sure you got a kid right now, probably about to be 18. If you haven't gotten your credit together, this is the reason why I always say, get yourself together so you can pass this on to your kids, and your kids can pass it on to their kids. And it's not just credit, it's financial literacy, right? But I'm gonna tell you what, when I got into the credit space, it led me down the rabbit hole to know all that I know right now. It led me down the rabbit hole. So you would just know more, and things would just start unfolding then, you know? Then we can mentor others. You just gotta think about it. Think about all the years, and I'm not gonna say all the years you wasted, but all the years that we've missed out on this type of education that we're getting here on Clubhouse. Imagine if you got that in your early 20s. So I encourage many of you guys that are on this path right now to pass this on to your kids. I don't care if you don't find the time, have that conversation during the breakfast table or dinner or while y'all watching Netflix, something, but you gotta plant the seed and water it daily. It's not something that you can get just one time and then they go about their merry way. This is a new conversation we gotta have. Whether you know everything or not, but if you guys grow together, get what you're learning in this stage, get what you're learning in these clubs instead of writing down information, have these type of conversations, because you won't know who would take that information and run with it and bring you along, right? So this is what I wish I had known. But I encourage you, those that are seeking this type of information, I say start right now, because we don't got that kind of time. You're going to hear me all the time say that. We don't got that kind of time, okay? Because time we can never, ever get back. So let's not waste it. Let's start planting those seeds to our children right now. I'm Credit Goddess. I'm done speaking.
Woo, child. Los, you in the building, bro?
I am.
Oh, man, I got to ask this question, and I'm excited to hear the answer. Yo, bro, if you could travel in time, go back 10 years, 15 years,
I'll be right back.
right? What game would you drop on your past self to help you get farther and further than you are right now? What kind of game would you drop on yourself, bro?
Oh, man. That's a good one. The game I would drop on myself, I would have, I placed some self-limiting beliefs on myself. I would have, not did that. Everybody know I started real estate when I was 17. The same course that I had bought to get started that taught me wholesaling and creative real estate, it had a multi-family apartment course with that. I didn't believe that I'll be able to buy, a 100-unit apartment building at 17, 18 years old, not even, with my situation. And then, coming back, later on in life, learning how 100% of those deals put together, I would say 95% of those deals put together with none of your own money. Had I done that, I'd be a billionaire by now. That's for real. I'd be a billionaire. So I kicked myself in the ass about that. So, if I could go back, it would have been, me believing that I could have did that apartment building just like I believed I could have went and did creative real estate. That's probably one of my biggest misses that I didn't take that shot. I'm pissed about that.
Somebody just raised their hand. I know. Man, listen. I see Miss Nicole clapping. You done cut somebody in order to heal somebody today, bro. I appreciate you.
Man, that hurts, man. I know some real billionaires. I don't know no other billionaires. They from real estate, and they all own multi-family apartments. So that shit hurt. That shit hurt me right now, still to this day. That still stings.
So I'm going to take this brief moment to kind of interject. I'm going to change the energy for a second, and I'm going to change it right back. Because, energy is like channels, baby. Sometimes you got to change it up. I will effectively have to block somebody out of this room. And it's specifically because I believe in working in credibility and in authenticity. We got some clout chasers in the room, and unfortunately, I got to block. Boom. You're blocked from the room. Got to go. Sorry. Not sorry. I'm not even mad. The reason why I did that is because of this. Man, it takes a lifetime to build your credibility. It only takes one day to have your credibility taken away, right? So, I just blocked Pablo from the room. I don't like the way in which he operates on this app. And he's come at several different people using their names and titles to get clout. I don't support that. So I had to boot him from the room. And I'm going to say it out loud respectfully. It is very hard for people of color or melanated people in this world to get far and get further as it is. We do not need people dragging people's names and building credibility off people's hard work and destroying the credibility that they've worked to maintain and to build for themselves. So I did that, and I'm going to be honest with the room about who it was and why I did it, because I operate in truth. I operate with integrity, and I do so because I have to protect this community. You guys are my community. We built this family together. This room is very, very rare because we're not asking nothing from you. We're here to give to you. Nothing more, nothing less. So, with that said, changing it back to the positivity, keeping this bad boy flowing.
Thank you.
Facts, family. So I just had to say that because this is how we operate, and I have to.
You know you're gonna end up in a title soon, right, Louis?
Huh?
You know you're gonna end up.
It's okay, baby.
I
I'm
was
just
thinking
saying.
the same thing, but let me say this. When that title pops up, if you can hear my voice, do not go in that room. Don't go in that room to defend Luis. Don't go in the room because that's what he wants people to do. He wants you to go into the room so more people can go in. And while I might back channel him some hot words, I will not go into that room because I'm going to defend Mr. Luis Estrella all day, every day. But don't go into the room when that title pops up. That's all I want to say.
Let me add on to that because for many of you guys that don't understand the algorithm of this app, right? If you go into that room and anyone that has the bell notification on or whoever you're following, if they're following you, they're going to get the notification and they're going to go in there, or it will pop up in their hallway because you're associated with them, you're following them. So when I see that people go in this room just to hear what's going on, don't do that because that's all he's doing. We spoke to him the very first time he did that, and we told him, like, this is not the way that you bring people in to talk about it, even though that it was like bait just to turn around and talk about what you want to talk about. That you don't do that on the expense of someone else's name, like Louise say. People would do that, so I don't want you guys to entertain. This is what we say, don't entertain negativity, because for the God of me, I don't understand why people gravitate to negativity. If it doesn't benefit you, don't go in there. You guys use this app for a really good reason, and that's to learn from people. But if you go into rooms to entertain other people tearing each other down, then I say that you're a part of it too, even though you're just going in there to be nosy. But don't do it. Don't do it, because you're just giving him more clout and things like that. Just don't do it, period.
I agree 100%. You know that saying, it said birds of a feather flock together. You know?
Yes.
So definitely, I agree with you, Credit Goddess, to stay out of that room. And I'm familiar with that guy, Pablo.
I'm actually glad
my people name, and I'm just gonna have somebody do business with him, and I'm gonna get his address. We gonna fly out there. That's a real only Los, boy. Only Los. I wish he put my name in one of them titles.
Don't go in the room. And Los is like, I got y'all. I'm gonna go to his house.
Exactly. I support the pull up. I support that. I support the pull up.
What I do is I'll just send him a skip chase report, his address, his mama address, his sister address, and then typically stuff like that. Typically people pipe down.
Yeah, they do.
Man. You doing some
Jonathan, I saw you calling me.
Don't call me. I want to talk to you in the back channel real fast. Call me, bro, real quick. 30 seconds.
All right, got you.
Hey, Los, right? So what you got, JD? Is that who opened their mic?
Oh yeah. I just opened my mic because I was actually in need of like credit repair services. I got a couple people that are actually also interested, and I know Credit Goddess. I know I back channeled you, but I was trying to get one of the people that are trusted in here to help work with a friend of mine, myself, and a couple others.
Let's go.
So you back channeled Credit Goddess and Los, is that what you're saying, Tavia?
Yeah. I back channeled Credit Goddess, and I just remembered that Los did credit repair as well. I mean, there's a few people that I know that need it done, so I'm willing to spread the business around to you all. But I just wanted to tap in with you real quick.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. Just recognize that sometimes it takes a little bit to get to the back channels, because Los and Credit Goddess, I know Los, your back channel is probably overflowing. Is that the best way to get a message to you?
No, that number in my bio, text that number in my bio. That's the best way. But in all transparency, bro, you can just get that business to Rose. It's not that I ain't looking to do business with you. I'm swamped, bro. I got a credit repair business that I had for a long time. I got a mortgage company and a real estate company, and they all feed that business. So I really don't be on here soliciting and promoting that. But I will help somebody if they in need. But you got Rose. If Rose wasn't here, I'll probably help you out. But Rose more than capable, bro.
Rose, what's the best way to get a hold of you? Is it your back channel, or is there another?
No, not the back. No, not the back channel. No, not the back channel. Go to my IG page, and there's a booking link right there, right underneath the bio. It says book. Just click book and book your consultation there. Y'all already know I hate texting, so yeah, just hop on a call with me. It's a lot quicker.
Hey guys. Can we say it? We called it, right? We called it. I got a room.
You got a room?
Oh my God.
Famous.
Hey, Luis, I just want to tell you, we took it from Rose. Took a question, so we're up to Tammy. If you want to take back over your room, and I will silence my mic.
Got you. Oh, you said we're up to Tammy. Tammy, what'd you say?
One second, hold on. He changed the name of the room now to about your room now. He said it's 7,500.
What, is 7,500 a scam?
Yeah.
$7,500.
Hold on. Initially, he had your name on it, Credit Goddess, you and Luis' name. He had, it said, initially, it said, what was it? Initially, the title was, had your name and Luis' name in there.
Wow.
So, yeah, so that's changed now. That's so childish, man. It's crazy.
And it's go.
I can't even see the room because I blocked them.
There are always going to be haters. Always going to be haters.
I can't see it either. I blocked them too. So thank God. I don't need that.
I have a feeling I'm blocked because I can't see it either.
Oh, I've been blocked.
I don't even know who this fool is.
Hey, listen.
You ain't missing much.
Hey, listen. I'm not gonna lie to you. At the end of the day, there's nothing that beats negativity like the truth, right? So let's operate in truth for a couple seconds, okay? There's a woman by the name of Sandra Wallace. She's actually come on this app and she's explained her story of how she bought a house, not for $7,500, but for $6,500, and the extra $1,000 was for the attorney costs. Point blank period. She went from homeless to homeowner with $7,500 out of her bank account. I'm a snapshot and I'm gonna put up her picture of her holding her clothes and sold sign because I operate in integrity and truth. I don't gotta sit here and go back and forth with people that don't matter, right? Because people that matter don't mind and people that mind don't matter. Let's go. We in this, baby. Miss Selma, I see you on stage. How can we help you today, Miss Selma? Or Miss Salima. Sorry about that. You guys hear me okay? I don't know.
Is it Salon 3?
We got you, my friend. We got you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. First, I just wanted to thank Credit Goddess because I'm a mother of 3, and when you were speaking, it really hit home. Everything that I do know, I try to teach my kids in regards to financial literacy and credit and so on.
but I do admit that I am new at a lot of this stuff. I didn't get the upbringing as I wish I did regarding financial credit, homeowners, and so on. So just wanted to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so with me, I have a couple of ideas, and one of them is the real estate investments as far as rental property goes. And I'm in the process of trying to get an LLC going, improving my credit. But I don't have the network necessary. So like I'm in the San Diego area, but I don't know who to reach out to as far as that goes. So I'm just here trying to network and see if there are any people that are recommended in the California or San Diego area. And so that's one. And then another part is that I know that I can't afford to buy a home in California, so this would be out-of-state investment properties that I'm looking for. So location is another, figuring out what areas are best as far as investing in rental properties, like Pennsylvania, Atlanta, Georgia are some places.
Money in Chicago.
In Chicago, okay. So I think just figuring out more information regarding what areas are best and profitable as far as that goes, just because I know with California it's pretty expensive. We don't really have the multi-unit homes to be able to invest in. And I want to do this within the 6-month plan. So I'm not sure who to reach out to as far as that goes. I know I've messaged a couple of people that I found that were able to be helpful, just haven't gotten anything back from them.
There's a slew of us up here can help you. Honestly, myself, Lewis, RB, Sheree, just pick and choose, win or lose. Anybody up here that you see moderated, they all been trusted. And
so, ma'am, if I send them, I'm new to Clubhouse, so if I do send a message while we're speaking on here, is that a way for me to reach out to them?
Absolutely, that's the back channel.
Yep, and just let them know that you sent it so they can be on the lookout for it. You know, a lot of us get a whole lot of messages, like right now, I got a few that's unlocked, that's unread, but if you tell someone that you just sent the message, then they can go looking for it.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
No problem.
Yeah, let me know if you message me so I can go swimming.
I did.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Hey, can somebody do me a favor? Can y'all pull a refresh? Let me know what you see.
Sold!
That woman right there with that mohawk, that on fire mohawk, that's Miss Sandra Wallace, 439 South 17th Street in Newark, New Jersey, who purchased her property with what? How much money out of pocket? $7,500. Thank you very much. Whew, ain't nothing beat it but the truth. Miss Salima, did you get your answer or question answered this morning?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Alrighty.
I will say, I do got some friends who heavy in real estate in the San Diego area. They're not really on the app, but I definitely can put you in touch with them. They if you in the San Diego area, you done seen that shit. They heavy. So just reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with them.
Isn't Anthony down there in San Diego? Anthony?
Yep, Anthony is in that area also. Yep. So yes, 2 people I can link him with.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and send a message. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, this is so.
Hey, Louise, can I, oh, go ahead.
Ladies first. Go ahead. Absolutely. Go ahead. Ladies first. Go ahead.
I just wanted to, I saw Chris Monroe came in the room, and I just needed to give him a big shout out, only because every week my daughter listens to him, and not only does she memorize, like I'm sure so many of us have, his entry, right, his entrance, but she then turned around and said, Mommy, do you have a catchphrase slogan? I said, no. She said, so
man, we going into jingle business, nigga. You know, we about to take up the man. Wonder we can blow up, folks. Come on. Yeah, you know, my little brother, he a music producer, man. We really can make this happen. You got a gift, brother. Man, that's game change. Be a one-hit wonder. At least they'll all wonder.
Yo, I gotta give it out to Chris. I gotta give it up to Chris, man. Chris has been on his app, for a while, and Chris is always there to help out, man. And I give it to Chris, man. Chris, no problem stepping in and helping him out, and I appreciate it. Yeah, because I've been burned out. I like, Chris, can you go for a half hour? And I fell asleep. I woke up, come up, still going. I was like, oh man, thanks, Chris. But guys, I gotta give you the flowers, Chris. I appreciate you, brother. Anything I can let me know, man.
Oh, thanks for that.
He always comes in everyone's room. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Chris, do you battle rap? Do you battle rap, Chris?
I do. No, I don't even rap.
He does the auctions. He does the auctions.
You know, Lowe's being that side.
He does the auctions, man. Auctions.
Wait a second. Can we speak about that?
I gotta hear you flow one time, Lo. I love battle rap. I love battle rapping. You gotta flow one time. Battle rap.
I don't battle rap, but I do say poetry. That's my.
I know you say poetry. Anybody that can spit a rhyme, I like that. Chris, do you freestyle? I know you freestyle. You say
I for free.
Yes! Oh.
Well, and a lot of it is to, be memorable. Remember you, and that helps grow that like and factor. Even when I talk to homeowners, I'm still having fun, doing little things that just make them memorable. If they can remember you, they're going to do business with you.
Hey, it's that like no trust factor for me. What's I going to say? Well, right back to it, right? I see we got a couple of people that joined the stage. Miss Mamie? How do you say that, Queen?
Mamie, hi.
Mamie, all right. How are you this morning, Miss Mamie?
I'm fine. I'm doing great. Thank you. So last time, it was like 2 months ago, Liz, I've been hanging up with having hectic at the time, getting the IDA call down. You told me I've been calling them, no answer, and stuff. Right now, I don't know what I should do at the next step.
Okay, quick question. Are you below the poverty line?
Yes, because I went back to work like 3 months ago. I did save up for down there, housing and all that. Like today, when I checked my credit score, it went up to 700. So that's fine, and I don't have a lot of. My credit card is not even $1,000 debt right now. So that I know is good.
Okay. The reason why I asked you that first initial question, are you financially below the poverty line, right? So not so much as were you unemployed, right? But specifically, the IDA loan is the first money tree, and that's the reason why we tackle it first. Because there's some people who look at home ownership like it's completely unreal for them. And that's specifically because they don't have a lot of money coming into their bank accounts to make this a possibility. Much like the woman, right? If you look at my profile picture right now, Miss Sandra was in exactly that position, right? When she came to me, she was working 2 jobs, right? One was part-time, one was full-time, but she still actually came to the poverty line. And her maximum pre-approval initially with Bank of America was $275. Then we got her approved for a house and under $5. Then they dropped her pre-approval to $250. And what the hell is going on? We got her under contract for another house, and then they dropped her pre-approval to $235. And we were like, what in the world is happening? And then we got her under contract again after she lost that contract. Eventually, for that property, that's about 439 South 7th Street in Newark, right? And she was in a position where she qualified IDA. She submitted her application for the IDA and setting up the account. but we actually got her closed before she can actually actualize the money through the IDA program, right? So that one first, specifically because there are income requirements and specifications with regards to the IDA program, right? Or the individual development accounts. So if you or anyone else in the room, I want you to Google, right, IDA program in my state, right? So whatever that state is. So IDA program in your county, right? Because sometimes they're county focused as well. So it's just something to keep in mind. But that's really the least amount of money out of all of the money trees that we provide for you in the Money Trees Club. That's the least amount of money, right? Where they can match anywhere dollar for dollar up to for every dollar that you invest, right? So a maximum of $1,000. So that's to up to $3 for every $1 that you invest. Are you so far?
Yes.
All right, phenomenal. But understand that that is the least amount of money that you can get out of all the money trees. So feel free, even if the IDA don't work for you, move on to the other money trees, right? Talk to your realtor about a realtor credit. Talk to your lender about a lender. Talk to your realtor about working out a seller's concession and working that out for you. And you can position that, right? As far as the entire process goes, several different ways as far as down payment assistance that you can tap into additional funds, so that way you really don't need the IDA. So don't get hung up on IDA and then don't move. Continue to kind of go through the Garden of Eden of the money trees and tap into those as well.
Yes, it does. But at the same time, I don't have a realtor. I don't have help done. So how does
Why? Mimi, why don't you have a realtor, Queen?
I never had, like, for the housing process, I'm just looking and seeing and just looking, how much money I have to save. Those are the main things I'm looking for. I didn't look for a realtor or anything, to be honest.
Sorry, I got a phone call in the middle of your response. You said you don't have a realtor because?
I didn't think about having one or anything. I don't know how it works. I don't know if I have to be really ready to get a house for them to, like, be able to, like, to have them or anything. I don't know how it works at all.
Okay, so we gonna build with you real fast. This is not even gonna take a long time. Are you ready? You gonna build with us? Okay. Yes. Have you ever made a $250,000 purchase before?
No.
Okay, I'm happy you said that. So that's one. If you were making a $250,000 purchase, wouldn't you like to have help that has no financial gain from you, but is getting financial gain from the process?
Sure.
Do you know that if you're working with a realtor, it's at no cost to you? Are you aware of that?
No.
Okay. We describe buying a house like climbing Mount Everest. Okay? And when there's a difference between going to Mount Everest and climbing it and living at Mount Everest. Okay? Realtors, the Sherpas, making sure that we carry the weight, we carry the baggage, we tell you where not to step to, and who exactly you need to in order to get to the peak of Mount Everest, okay? This process, I want you to breathe, right? And I want you to breathe easy, knowing that you have a trusted guide that's going to help you through this, okay? What part of New Jersey are you in?
I'm in Irvington. I live right in Irvington.
In Irvington?
Yep.
Okay, so that's Essex County. You in my playing field. You in my ballpark, right? I want to align you with mortgage lenders that are going to walk you through the process, some of which are on this stage right now. Right? So definitely tap into the mortgage lenders that are here. We're also going to give you attorneys that are going to help you through the process. Attorney fees, you don't pay important that you interview the attorneys that you're working with. We're going to give you so now you got mortgage lenders.
What's happening, Doug?
Now you got a realtor, and now you can say, because I'm going to forward you our free first-time home buyer's guide that we actually provided everyone that came from Clubhouse to the Real House. So now you're going to have the step-by-step guide. Now you're going to have a literal physical guide that's going to walk you through the process. Now you're going to have financing, and now you're going to have the legal guide to walk you through the process. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
There you go. Are there any other questions that you have?
No,
problem, Queen. I want you to actually send a text message to that number in my bio. I'm going to send you my digital business card, and I'm going to send you that first-time homebuyer's guide. In addition, all right, perfect. In addition, if there's any other first-time homebuyers in the room right now, they're like, damn, I wish I had that first-time homebuyer's guide. Join the community. You see that? Text first-time homebuyer's guide to that number at the top of my bio, and I'm going to make sure that I send you guys that link to that as well. I want to make sure that we follow home ownership in our community, in every conversation that we have. I want us to make sure that we're comfortable in knowing that we deserve a home. And with that said, I want to make sure that we get into everybody on stage. S, what's up, my brother? How you feeling this morning?
Thank you.
No problem, man. S, you on stage, bro? SJ?
Hey, Luis, I just want to say that, hey, that's why I fuck with you.
I appreciate you, Los, bro. We out here making big moves, bro. But honestly, it's for the people, man. Without the people, no moves could be made, man. But damn sure.
It's the delicacy.
I appreciate that, Los. So listen, guys. Without any further ado, we already at that 107 price, 107 mark as far as the calendar goes. There is the lunch and learn that I'm actually going to put up the link for that room happening right now. I want to thank you guys, right? It takes a lot to actually come into a room, and more importantly, it takes a lot to stay in the room. I know that sometimes it can be confusing going from room to room to room, but that's actually why we scaled back our room from a 5-day room to a 1-day room. We want to give you space to take action. We want you to know that we trust you to take this information, write it down, research, and apply. And at the end, we trust you to do the right thing, right? And it's in good measure because we know that you're worth it. We that the responsibility that it is to become a homeowner is not and at first, but when we work together and when we flush out these questions and we replace fear with education, there's nothing that could stop our community from being the strongest community out there. So that's the reason why we host these classes. Again, there's going to be a special credit class next week, Tuesday. Do you want a credit or do you want a credit magician? That's happening on Tuesday with some of the amazing moderators that are here. And then we will be back again on Thursday. Guys, feel free to become part of our community. Text the link in my bio. Can't wait to continue to grow, learn, and move and shape with you, man. So without that, without anything else being said, without any further ado, we are up out of here. Much love, man. And we are out.
Thanks, Louis.
We're going into another room. And then I have my room at 12 o'clock as well. So we're going to head into another room. It's called the Key Real Estate Group.
Oh, that's right, Keith.
And I'm here. I'm in the next room.
Entrepreneur from Chicago. I've been in the rental business 2015. Started with arbitrage gone wrong, kicked out the build and all that stuff, book and stuff gone bad, and switched my model. Now I own 95%, man. I just got one arbitrage. That kind of alley yet. That's really key. I don't really do anything with that, but but I own my portfolio, and my goal is to build the business up and sell it all. Sell the short-term rental business, the platform, all of the guest bookings, and the real estate. Once I build the revenue up to a certain number, all of my short-term rentals are in nice areas, appreciating areas of Chicago, so yeah, that's my model.
Los, I always like when you speak because you just keep it real. So I appreciate that in this room, and talk about where you came from and the lessons you learned and where you're at now. So again, always appreciate having that kind of transparency here.